So I hope you are feeling fine and great today. So today we are going to talk about the performance-based assessments, the definition, types, advantages, characteristics, guidance of implementation, and the sample activity. So please fasten your seatbelt because right now we are going to venture the world of performance-based assessment. A performance-based assessment, or PBA, takes the skills and knowledge learned from a class and applies it to a task. The task is often project-based, hands-on, and reflects more real-world situations. Performance-based assessments are a useful tool for evaluating a student's understanding of a subject and if they are able to apply their knowledge in specific situations. Educators use performance-based assessments often to identify the best methods for teaching students and assisting them throughout their entire learning process in a course. These assessments measure how well a student can apply the knowledge they've learned, not if they can recall the knowledge. Performance-based assessments often use the following components: developmental checklist, portfolios of student work, and progress reports. These type of performance assessments require students to use higher order thinking skills to go through a process and complete their product or performance task. The emphasis on process and practical application encourages the task to be based on real-life situations.
Characteristics of performance-based assessments. What we are after here is the characteristic. How can we say that this performance is good? Number one, authentic, meaningful, and realistic. One of the good characteristics of performance-based assessment is that they are authentic and something that students can relate to and apply directly after they leave the classroom. Second, assesses more complex skills. These are the HOTS, or the higher order thinking skills. Although the lower order thinking skills are also important in the performance assessment, we also require more complicated abilities in performance-based evaluation since we don't do simple things in our everyday lives. We do them in a complex way. Number three, allows students to be involved in the process of evaluating their own and their peers. When we have this type of assessment, the method they will be evaluated does not only focus on the teacher's perspective. Remember, it is extremely subjective. Therefore, to deal with it, the learners will be able to assist if they improve in that kind of outputs just like their peers. You should include a space in the performance evaluation for students to see if they have improved. Number four, provides opportunities for students to show both what they know and how well they can do. So, how can students be able to demonstrate their abilities outside of the classroom if they are not given the opportunity to do so in the classroom? As the teachers striving for a high performance evaluation, we must ensure that we provide an opportunity for them to do so. Number five, explains the task, required elements, and scoring criteria. As prospective educators, we must ensure that we provide the criteria before assigning a task, especially if it is a performance assessment that will be judged subjectively. Criteria should be reported and given to students. We should note which element they should focus on in order to achieve a high score.
Advantages of performance assessment: collaboration of each learners, direct observation of each student learning, instructional feedback, measure multiple objectives and concepts, active student learning, enjoyable for students, can access skills that cannot be answered through more traditional methods, and ongoing continuous assessment, provide meaningful information for parents to understand a child's progress and accomplishment. Advantages of performance assessment. In performance assessment, teachers has more information about the learning needs of their students, and this let them modify their methods of teaching and learning styles, and to understand the strengths and the weaknesses in students. They also allow students to access their own learning progress and to reflect on their own education. Also, these assessments allow schools to identify the skills and knowledge they want their students to learn and acquire. In addition, performance assessment can measure complex learning outcomes. Performance-based assessment can empower students by giving them freedom to make choices within parameters set by teachers about the direction that their learning should take. Giving students this kind of ownership of their learning process can be a powerful motivator. Performance assessments often rely on specific skill set of the student, such as creativity, flexibility, or a willingness to engage in public speaking. Performance-based assessments has this advantage for students who may not feel overly creative or willing to present their knowledge.
According to McTay and Pereira 1998, there are three types of performance-based assessments from which to choose, as these are the products, the performances, and the process-oriented assessments. A product refers to something that is produced by students that provides concrete examples of the application of their prior knowledge. Its examples can include brochures, video clips, and other projects. In performances allow students to show how they can apply knowledge and skills under the direct observation of the teacher. Its examples can include, but not limited to, oral reports, role plays, simulation, demonstration, and debate. In process-oriented assessment, it provides insight into student thinking, reasoning, and motivation. Its examples can include, but not limited to, think aloud, self or peer assessment, checklists, surveys, learning logs, and individual or pair conferences.
So, how can we implement performance-based learning and assessment into the classroom? For the most part, this assessment takes time to plan, implement, and assess. So, provide sufficient time for tasks. Performance-based assessment can be difficult for students. Be sure to offer thorough feedback and be there as an educator to facilitate learning during the activity. Offer students guidance through this meaningful task. Now, performance-based assessment inherently have cognitive rigor. This type of learning requires higher order thinking. Learning tasks are beyond rote memorization, and performance learning provides students the freedom they need to think independently. Students apply, analyze, and create with this type of learning. Next, the performance task guidelines. First, teach students the required knowledge. Second, create and distribute the rubric. And lastly, provide freedom within tasks to foster creativity. Generally, assessment is useful. A well-crafted performance assessment will help teachers gauge the levels of student understanding. Performance-based assessment measures students' ability to apply the skills and knowledge learned.
Here is an example of performance-based assessment in English 6 for the third quarter with a criterion below. A grade 6 teacher assesses here student through a performance task, which is to choose a task and construct sentence regarding on their viewpoints and opinions on a specific task. The learners will be guided on how they will be graded based on the rubrics below. This activity is a performance-based assessment that asks students to perform to demonstrate their knowledge, understanding, and proficiency. In general, performance-based assessment measures students' ability to apply the skills and knowledge learned from a unit or units of study. Typically, the task challenges students to use their high-order thinking skills to create a product or complete process. In addition, have an also example of performance assessment include demonstration, experiments, essays, portfolio, and group projects.
In a nutshell, performance-based assessment is a process-based evaluation of students' skills based on how they learned. It fits in with formative and benchmarks assessments and can also be used as a summative assessment if followed by schools. PBA or performance-based assessment engages students, stimulates the authentic application of skills, and provide opportunity for failure and learning from specific feedback.